There's a lot of resistance to death here.
I'm not dying today. Not when my life just started.
His resistance to death is something that we call self or ego continuity, and it refers to the mind's need to preserve a coherent sense of me, even when life or belief systems change. And it's relevant for people who went through religious or faith type of trauma, because many organized religions build your entire identity around a single, rigid definition of what it means to be good, faithful, worthy, and other very powerful words like these. And while this structure can definitely bring comfort and belonging, at the same time it can also limit self-exploration for many. Over time, as you grow, life naturally demands change. You evolve, you start questioning things, you discover messy or shadowy parts of yourself that don't kind of fit the original mold. But because that old system told you that any sort of deviation is going to equal sin or betrayal, your self-continuity system kicks in like a defense mechanism, which is what is happening to Joe here. It says, no. What matters if you are dead? Stay consistent with who you were taught to be. My man, you're dead. That version of you no longer fits you. Like, that's how easy it is, huh? For example, imagine you grew up Catholic and you were taught that being good means being overly kind and endlessly kind, self-sacrificing, forgiving. Now, that belief becomes part of your core identity, your moral compass, and your belonging system. However, at some point, you might find yourself in situations where that kindness, that being good, turns into self-abandonment. In order to grow, you're gonna have to let your shadow act. At least for a while, you'll need to set boundaries, to say no, to let anger exist. Yet doing that often triggers guilt and shame because your brain equates change with moral failure. Because if you're not good anymore, that means you're automatically bad. That's what makes it very rigid. Now, that's self-continuity acting as a protective mechanism. However, it's also important to say that that same mechanism can also become a source of strength, especially if integrated consciously. When you allow your identity to evolve, to expand, to basically hold both I can be kind and I can be assertive, just as an example, self-continuity helps you preserve your core values, yes, even as the form of those values changes. In that sense, self-continuity is both your ego's resistance and your ego's resilience. It's what helps you remain you while you expand into new, more authentic versions of yourself. The versions that rigid systems often do not allow.